We're back on Thursday evening. If you haven't watched it yet, you got to watch the show that happened earlier today. It was a match opposition preview show with Justin and a guy from Pittsburgh who is a Villa fan. It was actually pretty cool. So check that out, please. Last evening, we were taken over by Wayne and his crew, who do a podcast called West Ham is Why We Drink. They took over the show and did their podcast live on our channel. And I was impressed. And it blew my mind. It was actually really funny, hilarious, for that matter. So go check that out if you haven't. What else we got going on? Trying to pull off a couple of surprises for this weekend, since we still won't have a match until Monday. But we'll see what happens, and just stay tuned. We're all over social media, so make sure that you're following us all over the place. If you want to join the show and you have not joined the show yet, you got a story you'd like to tell, please reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. What else we got? We ordered the scarves a couple days ago, so that's cool. We're actually going to be getting more on hand to do some giveaways and also for sale. But you should buy one of these mugs too. You know, these mugs look how shiny that is. Look at that.
It's good quality.
Sexy. Yeah, I'm saying. I love it. So it's made by a hammer out in Plano, Texas, with this company drinkwaredesign.com. You can put whatever you want on there. You can put Green Street Hammers on there. You can put a West Ham logo, whatever you want to do. So it's kind of cool. All right. Let's see. There was something else I needed to mention. Oh yeah. So our website is going to be completely overhauled soon, and which is going to be great. It's good news actually. One of our good friends, Brian Hoffman, is going to help us make it a one-stop shop and clean it up quite a bit. So it'll be fantastic. So stay tuned for that as well. In the meantime, Justin's my co-host. What's going on, Justin?
What's up, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Good to see you again. Been a couple of weeks. And Adam from Green Street Hammers. We've had Jeremiah on. I interviewed him once, and then he's been on a couple times with Scott Davis, who's also been on your program.
Yeah.
Good friend of ours. So now we get Adam. You know, I've been listening. I listened to the podcast, and I'm like, every single time I'm driving to work and I listen to your podcast, I think, why haven't we got Adam on yet? And then I forget to reach out to you. I forget to ask you because there's just so much going on over here.
I didn't make it easy on you either. I think I pushed 3 or 4 days out of the way, so I apologize for that right up front.
No, don't worry about it.
I appreciate you having me on.
No, I appreciate that, man. No, thanks, man. So our first question is always, how on earth did you become a hammer?
I've written about it a couple times, and I'll be straight up. There's the team that West Ham was playing when this story happened has switched in my memory and whatnot because it was very. I wasn't very in the best state of mind, we'll say, when it happened. But I was away at school, and I was just coming downstairs to grab pizza for dinner from the delivery guy. I had 2 roommates. One was a winemaker, and one was a beer maker in programs at a local college. And before I knew it, the pizza was split 3 ways, and the wine and the beer were split 3 ways as well. And the next thing I remember is I woke up in my bed facing the wrong direction. And I was so crippled by what had happened the night before. All I could do, I needed to distract myself by watching TV. And all I had was the sports package on TV. I could turn the TV on to see what program was on. It was just a highlight show usually. It was Saturday morning. West Ham was playing either Hull City or Crystal Palace. And I believe it was Crystal Palace thinking back on it. And I said, all right, I've watched enough international soccer, with the big major tournaments and whatnot. But I figured, okay, whatever team wins, that'll be my team. That's the team I'm going to follow. And West Ham won, I believe, 3-0. A couple Kevin Nolan goals on Andy Carroll assists, actually. And I think Andy Carroll got a red card in the 70th minute for an elbow. So I was in love with Andy Carroll. I was in love with West Ham. And thank the Lord I'm not a Crystal Palace fan or a Hull City fan. But it's been a happy marriage ever since then. So despite some some dry heaving on the front porch that morning. It was a successful morning for me. I look back fondly on it.
That's good. I like that one. That's it's my favorite question. I mean, it's the reason why we do this, man, to find out, people all over the world, just to find out how on earth you got into West Ham. I love hearing the different stories. It's always different, even if they say the same thing or similar, similar thing like, if I was born into it, but there's different reasons why. Or hey, a lot of Americans say, I got interested because of Green Street Hammers. I got Green Street Hooligans, but not just that. There was, it led to something else. Like there's someone in the chat room right now, I believe, Jim Stebbins, who said that, that happened to him as well. So it wasn't the movie itself that actually made them want to become a Hammer, Green Street Hooligans, but it led to things that led to a life of horror.
Well, it puts the idea in your head also as well, right?
Exactly.
You hear it with West Ham and you're like, oh, I have something to sort of anchor that to.
It was IT crowd for me, man. Amongst Football Manager and it was a conglomeration of things, and but yeah, the TV show that once I saw that particular episode, they had like a West Ham, based episode, and it was just the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and that stuck with me. And then literally, months later, I had no sports games on my Mac. The only game I could get was Football Manager at the time, and one thing led to another, and I'm like, oh, I love that logo. And it is kind of cool. I know I've heard of that player before, and the next thing you know, I'm into it. Anyway, so Green Street Hammers, though, like, how did that even come about? Like,
it was kind of a natural
part of the founding of it, or what's the deal?
So I actually I will give all the credit to Scott Johnson, who I believe is the originator of Green Street Hammers as a fan-sided site. If you're not familiar with fan-sided, they're an affiliate of Sports Illustrated. And that's who hosts and owns all of the, Green Street Hammers is one. A really popular one is Rush the Cop, is their Liverpool website. Pain in the Arsenal is a really popular one as well. And they're all under the fan-sided umbrella as Green Street Hammers is. Scott Johnson originally he lives in Australia now, but he's from London or just outside of London. He was writing, desperate to write about football, and he's a West Ham fan through and through. He was writing about Arsenal because they didn't have a West Ham page. And when the opportunity came up, he jumped on it and sort of piloted the whole thing. I had written for Knees Up Mother Brown under their sort of fan section. Another website just based in the Boston area called The Runner Sports. It's a little sort of startup there. And then I saw an application available, as we often link in our articles, that we're looking for more writers and more contributors along the way. So I emailed on that, and soon enough, it just sort of rolled away. And actually, it's been a year and a month now of me being with Green Street Hammers, and it's been a lot of fun. I have a sort of a passion, I guess, for writing and in sort of creating something. So I don't know. I couldn't compartmentalize West Ham as a fandom without writing it down and complaining a lot of times to a sympathetic crowd, I'm sure. So I don't know how it really, where the genesis of it was, but I'm happy it happened. We'll say that.
Hey, Adam, I've seen fan-sided before, even before Green Street Hammers, because like even American sports teams have their own pages as well. So you said it's an affiliate of Sports Illustrated, but that Scott was writing for Arsenal before West Ham was created. So does that mean that Sports Illustrated or Fansided or whoever, that entity just decided, oh, let's do a West Ham one? Or did Scott approach them? Or how did you even get your own page to begin with?
That's a good question. I think Scott was pretty persistent on making a West Ham fan site. London-based team. I'm not even sure if there's a Tottenham one yet. Who would want to write about him anyways? But I think he just wanted some sort of outlet to write about, and then the opportunity came up for expansion. And I'm not sure if he instigated it, which I know is your question, or not. I think he did, though. I think he sort of got in their ear a little bit and pushed for that.
So for everybody who's listening or watching, who is not quite familiar with Fanside, it's like the number one competitor of SB Nation, right? You got they're like the two. It's pretty much the same thing, right?
Fan driven, created. Yeah, no, I think you're on the right explanation there.
Yeah.
It's good. It's exciting. There's not really, we always want to compare and whatnot, but just for sort of context, I guess. But
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not too familiar with SB Nation all that much, but there's actually a lot of interplay between the fan-sided sites. The guys at Foxes of Leicester are really, really open and whatnot and welcoming. Same with the Magpies over at Newcastle Tunes, I think is their handle. They're really like open to working with each other. So if you guys ever have feelers out for opposition view, like the previous show you just done with Aston Villa, they have a Claret Villains, I think is their name. So
we've been struggling with that, haven't we, Justin? Trying to get opposition on the show.
Yeah, a little bit. No, I mean, overall, it's been fine. I think struggled a little bit with the Norwich, but besides that, it's been all good.
The guys that we ended up getting on were fantastic, which is great. So it ended up working out.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a show. It's a new show this season I'm contributing on called Stairway to Seventh. I don't know if you've seen their logo or not. It's a green pitch. It's a stairway 2, and the O for the 2 is the center circle. And it's a podcast focused around Premier League, but every team outside of the traditional top 6.
Oh, cool.
So the tagline is basically, if Sergio Aguero scores a hat trick, who cares? We're not talking about it. And it's a voice for the smaller guys and everyone else. My goal, hopefully, is that I'll never, after this season, have to be on that podcast again because West Ham will be in the top 6, and then we can hear from Chelsea about how great Tammy Abraham is or something like that. But it's good. It's a good outlet again for some opposition views for sure.
Well, I do care if Aguero scores a hat trick because he's on my fantasy team. Anyway, so then how did the podcast come about, though? How did the Green Street Hammers podcast come about?
I have a plethora of failed podcasts under my belt that me and a couple of my buddies have tried to get running. But Scott and I, again, it's tough linking up with him in Melbourne based on time zones and whatnot. We usually record on Wednesdays, and that would be his Thursday morning when we record, and he plays football on Wednesdays. So he goes, whether or not I had a rough evening of football, I'll be up for it or not. So we had to juggle a bit there. The genesis was basically Scott wanted to do something. I had the experience, albeit failed usually, of doing it and at least recording and whatnot, some of the software stuff. So it worked out. Scott's a really, really intelligent, thoughtful guy too. So that worked out pretty well there. And then when Jeremiah joined up with the crew, that was pretty much a strong jumping off point for us to be on a consistent basis because that guy loves talking West Ham. So we're happy to have him along as well.
And where are you based out of that again?
Toronto.
Gotcha.
Canada.
Are you part of the Toronto Hammers?
Pardon me?
Are you part of the Toronto Hammers?
I'm not. I'm barely rolling out of bed to watch a match, but I haven't met up with them yet. It's something I have to do. I've talked to the guys a couple of times pretty loosely, but I'd love to meet some of the guys here.
They're actually coming down. They're actually coming down to Chicago. We're doing sort of like we're planning on doing like a, I don't know what you would call it, a home and home where they
exchange,
chill with an exchange, and then we're planning on going with them. So I was just wondering if you were part of that.
Not officially affiliated, but it's something that's got to happen on my end anyways, for sure.
Good friend of the show, Clint Hall out of Dallas, the Dallas area. He hangs out with the Dallas Hammers. He was recently, I guess a couple of weeks ago, I think it might have been it was a Brighton match or the Watford match. I think it was the Watford match. He was up there hanging out with the Toronto Hammers. And he said he had a blast. There was a good, at least 20 people there. 20 Hammers there. I mean, that's a good group. We talked to a lot of groups across country, some with 2 or 3. Which is as soon as you hit that 3 point, I mean, once you get 3 people, that's a group now. It's not a couple anymore.
That's
gotta start somewhere. So there's a lot of those groups, but there's also once you hit 20, I mean, you're a big player now.
Yeah, you get some sway.
Definitely, and there's quite a few of those. I'd say at least
they're actually getting 10 to come down to Chicago, or 9, I think.
That's. I mean, even if you can get half of a group, that's awesome. When it's half of 20, that's even better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
yeah. But like Justin was saying, Chicago is one of the bigger groups. So you got Fresno, you got Dallas, Los Angeles has 2 locations. They're so big. That's awesome. And Who else is pretty big? I mean, there's a lot of them that are really big. But no, I love seeing that, and I love seeing them grow as well. I mean, I got to visit the Philly Hammers a couple weeks ago, and for the Norwich match, and they're restarting. So there was a group there, kind of, just died down, and then someone else just decided to come in and say, you know what, let's try it again. And they averaged 16 people. That's awesome.
That's
to start for a restart. That's pretty good numbers right there. And great people. So anyway, someone in the chat room, Wally World, I get to meet him. I mean, he was there as well, so it's cool. And got to meet a couple other people from the show. Our chat room is pretty lively tonight. Jeremiah's in there watching the show live.
John Nolan, cool. I think it was the Carroll windmill elbow. I see that comment from there. I just switched over to the live comments. That was the red card. It was awesome.
John Nolan's one of our rotation hosts, I guess you'd say. He's trying to develop his own show for our channel for Friday nights, because we need something for Friday nights. He's awesome. And we got Wally's in the chat room. Gabe's 16 years old from Austin, Texas, and he's a diehard hammer, knows his stuff. Very knowledgeable for a 16-year-old. Very knowledgeable.
For sure, more than me at that age. I can tell you that much.
And we got Neil from down under, the Aussie, who's always here. No matter what time we put a show out, he's watching. It's awesome.
10:33 in the morning. I love it.
Yeah, man. So yeah, let's get into a few questions. Have you ever been over for a match?
I have. I have a lovely fiance who was lucky enough. I'm lucky enough that she spoiled me and took me over. She paid for the flight and the stay, and I had to fork over happily for the tickets and the dinners and everything else. We made a week of it. It was actually 2017, 2018 over the New Year's period. I got completely screwed out of the the eventual match that Pedro Obiang scored that rocket goal. It was moved one day after our flight back home, and we were lining up tickets to go, and we couldn't extend it. She's a teacher. She had to be back. But Andy Carroll is forever carved in my heart, because that match was his brace that beat West Brom. The 94th minute, right across the face of the net, past Arnautovic, and he slammed it in. I got goosebumps right now on my arm just talking about it. But I've seen one match, and it was a hell of a match, and we had terrific seats as well. A guy, Steve, reached out to him, or in general on these at Mother Brown forums, and he jumped up and was awesome and an awesome host for us there. But we made a whole vacation out of it. I'm a history nerd, and an official one actually, and the museums and everything there were awesome. So with a team like history as West Ham has, to mix that with the actual history of England and London specifically, it was a great trip. And I've got now kits and scarves and everything else to match up with it, hats that don't say East London, all that good stuff.
Cool. Did you get a chance to go into the Churchill war rooms? I know you said you're a history guy.
Churchill's my guy, 100%. We waited an hour and a half in line to get in there, and that was well worth the wait, I would say.
Yeah, I heard it was quite cool. I'm a history guy myself as well. I chose not to do the wait though, so maybe not as big of a nerd as you are. But yeah, that city's great. I mean, it's awesome that I say it all the time. I think it's just, we're so lucky that West Ham, the team that we chose, is based in London, I think, because if it was based in even just Birmingham, it's just a little harder to get to, right? Just like that little extra trip to get to if you're traveling from the States. I'm not familiar with Birmingham, but I'm assuming that it's no London, with the history and the culture. So it's really cool that when you can go see West Ham play, you still, in between matches, can just experience this, world-class city. It's a big reason why I stay there for at least a week.
I'm sure you guys are familiar with, having tons of people who are probably Manchester United supporters in your adjacent friend groups and whatnot, just because of the popularity of the teams. You see the Yankee hats on everyone everywhere across the world too. So it's the same deal. My soon-to-be brother-in-law and one of my best friends are Manchester United fans, although they know an awful lot about West Ham now, thanks to me. But My buddy went. He had front row seats to a United match. They scored a bunch of goals. They won, and he said outside of the game, it sucked because Manchester isn't a very touristy city in his opinion from his experience when he went there. So it's traditionally an industrial town. There's still a lot of industry there. It's not London, right? So like you said, Justin, like we're super lucky. You get the culture bomb along with the football bomb. I'm pleased it worked out like that for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. It also, I guess it depends on what you're into too. Now, when I was there, I spent my time trying to hunt down other grounds. I mean, in match day, so I get to.
That's another thing. It's like if you're in, I mean, Birmingham has got a couple, but in London you could go to.
Literally. I stayed away from the Den, but I crossed the river and I got to see Charlton Stadium, which was fantastic. It's really cool to see a stadium that size in the middle of so many houses. It was in a neighborhood. I mean, it was bizarre, and I love seeing that. And I got to see Kings Meadow and what else? A couple other small grounds, but because I love non-league and also the lower divisions football as well. But did you get to see any other grounds while you were there?
We were going to go do the Queen of all stadiums, Wembley, but we did the London Stadium tour, which was cool. It was good. It was nice to see, the behind the scenes and everything. Yeah. I turned down the opportunity to go down that sculpture slide thing outside of it. I don't do great with heights, so I wasn't really all.
Hell no, I wouldn't do that
either. We didn't end up doing Wembley, but what I was going to say was the stadium tour. We were laughing because we in our heads you have this built up. We're going to England. You meet a bunch of English people and whatnot. And the guy was from Hungary who gave our stadium tour, and he was super knowledgeable on it all. And he was an adopted West Ham fan. I chose the team as well, and he said actually he chose it through video games as well. That's how he became familiar with the team. So it was awesome. I love seeing all that stuff. It gives you some like frame of reference on the track around the stadium when you see underneath and inside the space where it actually exists under the stands. It's kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I did get to see Wembley from my Uber trip from where I was staying to the London Heathrow. The airport, but it was lit up. It was kind of cool to see from a distance. I missed out on a playoff game between Charlton and I think it was Shrewsbury by a day.
Ooh.
Son of a bitch, because the fixture got pushed. Son of a bitch. And also, I guess the non-league, I think it was a conference final at Wembley. Was I was gonna go, but it was piss and rain, man. Piss and rain. Yeah, but whatever. Anyway, let's see. Let's check into the chat room and see if there's any questions. Is there any questions in here today, guys? Or are you guys just chatting amongst yourselves? Looks like you're all having a blast. Gabe does say that Birmingham does have the Peaky Blinders.
That is true. Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
So they do have some hits.
Every time, even when I was talking and I was saying Birmingham, I can see
Killian Murphy. I'm like,
I got the razor blade stuck on my hat brim back there. Yeah.
I have not seen season 4 yet. So no spoilers in the chat room.
Yes, season 5 comes out on October 5th on Netflix.
Yeah, gotta figure
it out. If you have a mobile media box like me, then you can watch it tonight when we get off. Anyway, they should sponsor us, Global Media Box. That'd be cool. Anyway.
Sponsored content.
Hey, Adam, did you ever go to a match at the Bowen? No.
Never got to.
So you can't really compare the atmospheres, but I'm just curious what you thought of, the pre-match atmosphere leading up to the game. Before the game that you went to, what did you think? What did you do? What did you think? Did you meet a lot of Englishmen?
We stayed at Westfield's, the Staybridge Suites there, which in hindsight for a week's stay in London, probably not the best idea because our travel in and out of the city was a bit piled up. But for the match, it was awesome. We came over a little bit earlier. we did we'd done the loop a couple times at the Olympic grounds there around the stadium, but we got a rib sandwich at the Rib Man's shop when he was set up there at the truck, which is cool. And
far out. Nice.
I mean, I think I watched Iron Man like 1,000 times before this trip, and on the plane ride and everything, lining up just to get myself prepared for it all. But it was awesome to see like the whole concourse area set up, so many people, and my fiance was nervous, like, oh, this is where the visitors go in. I'm like, I don't think it's going to be too crazy or anything. You don't have to worry about that. But from her experience, she is all very supportive of me and everything that all the amount of time and energy I pour into West Ham. She doesn't like watching the matches on TV with me, mostly because she's usually asleep when they're on, to be fair. But she was like on the edge of her seat inside the stadium. The biggest culture shock was no beers in the seats. That's always funny. But it probably was a solid idea anyways. The chants were awesome. Loved hearing that. The Come On You Irons chant, you could almost feel it before you could hear the actual words come out, just to kind of sweep around the bowl, which was totally unbelievable. And even when you watch the replays of Lanzini carrying the ball over the halfway line for that last goal, there's like an energy buildup in the building, and you could physically feel that when you were there. And I was hugging people I had no idea I had never met before, jumping up, we're high fiving and everything. It was again, like the goosebumps are back on my arms. It was like I know people do it once a week, but for me, it felt like a once in a lifetime experience. Like it was everything I had imagined and more, and singing bubbles and everything like that. It was truly awesome. And I guess because I don't have the reference point of the bowling ground and what it sounded like there, what it felt like you're on top of the pitch, I can't compare that myself. I'll be hands up, be honest with that. But I had zero complaints from my fan experience. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, as much as people knock the stadium, if it gets going and it's full, I mean, it can get going. It has the potential. It's just it really needs to spread across. It needs to spread. The energy needs to spread over a bigger space. More people need to get involved. But unfortunately, I went to that Burnley game where people were rushing the field.
Oof.
And so I felt the energy, albeit it was negative. But even in that first half of that match, because at halftime people forget that first half we dominated. We should have scored 2 or 3 goals in that first half. I was in the upper deck for the first half, and I could even feel it. Like it was starting to build. And like halftime came at the worst possible time. But I'm telling you, when that stadium gets going, it can really, really get going.
For sure.
I agree. Same with me. I went to 2 matches in 1 week, and the first match I went to was against Man U, and they played their half their bench. You know what I mean? Like it was the end of the season. It was the next last home game and the last home game. The next last home game was Man U. We drew 0-0, and David Moyes was our manager. So that's how excited the crowd was anyway to begin with.
David Moyes win right there, right?
Big time. Seriously. But no, it was dank and dreary. I mean, it was shit weather, and no one was feeling it. The atmosphere sucked, but it was cool to be there. So I was like super nervous and excited because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been there before. I was by myself. Didn't have anybody with me the first match. But anyway, in between that week, I met some cool Norwegians and Germans on this boat that Jack Collison was speaking on, doing an interview, and they adopted me for the rest of the week. And then I got to see the last home game of the season against Everton, and we won 3-1. It's a beautiful sunny day. It was the last game of the season, so everybody was amped up.
Was that the noble volley off the post?
No, it was the 17-18.
Was that
17-18?
Oh, okay, that was Leicester. Yeah, got my Blues mixed up.
Yeah, that was like 3 weeks before. Yeah, that happened. But so it's against Sam Allardyce's team first and foremost, and there's so many factors why that was such a great day. But no, the atmosphere, like you said, the chants around the bowl, they actually made its way around the whole bowl. You could feel everything, man. It was insane. But I didn't expect it. You know what I mean? After watching that first match, I was like, oh, this is what everyone was talking about. This is why everybody hates this fucking new stadium. And then we get to that last home game. I'm like, wow, everybody's attitudes changed around here. What's going on? This is great. Wow, this is how it's supposed to be. I loved it, and that was my lasting impression because that's the last match I'm going to.
And it makes sense when you think about it too. Like ideally, we moved into the new stadium with this Dimitri Payet-led team with Slaven Bilic, the passionate manager, kicking microphones on the sidelines. The idea was to have a good team take us from old into new and then progress forward. Obviously, that didn't happen. And I think Dave Walker talks about it all the time. When we win or put in a good performance, the stadium's awesome. The atmosphere is crazy good. And when we suck, it sucks. More consistent good play is going to see that place become the fortress we all want it to become. So it's simple logistics there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Winning cures all. Winning just cures. There's no problems. Like I read, I'm a big sports guy, a lot of different sports, and now I read these articles. Oh, this team, the manager, they're gelling together. Like he has this way with players, and I'm just like, yeah, he may have like a good personality, a good man manager, but the simple fact is that the players are performing and winning, and they're happy. That's really at the end of the day all it is. And if you lose, it's the reverse. But sticking on, I really want to bring this up because this is recent news. We're talking about the stadium and the atmosphere. Did anyone see the transformation of Real Sociedad Stadium?
I saw that picture.
Okay.
No, I missed this one. What's going on?
So Real Sociedad essentially had a stadium similar to West Ham's where there was an athletic track around it. Yeah. And, the stands were, curved around. And just from a few pictures, I don't think the stands were as far away as they are at the London Stadium, but it was still very obviously too far away. They squared it off. They squared it off, and it literally looks like an entirely new stadium. Like they built an entirely new stadium. It looks like a proper football stadium. And I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that because it's possible. The engineering is definitely possible.
I sent it over to you there, Tim, on Twitter. Just jumping in there real quick. Yeah, it's interesting. I love the look of the squared off. I mean, maybe it's my just preference of like the squared off lines, but it looks so much more organized and neat, and I like that. And something that you don't see as much because, like, when you look at that's awesome. When you look at the new White Hart Lane, it looks like it looks like a toilet, obviously. But it looks so similar, like cookie cutter, to the other stadiums that are going around. That's why I kind of like the London Stadium from the outside. It's got the crown around it, like it has that personality to it. But I mean, if you do that to the pitch, and you could even see there's still room. We could put claret carpet. It wouldn't be as much. We could still squeeze it in along the sidelines. So I like that. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, or they just don't need to put as many, but at least put something there and square it off somehow.
Yeah, did you see the old version? Look the arrow on the left.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Wow.
So that's what it was.
And that's a lot of.
It doesn't look as far as what we got going on.
At least not on the sides.
It does look closer on the sides, much closer on the sides.
The fisheye is playing an effect there too, but yeah, that's a significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like a completely new stadium, and I agree. Like Adam, your point on what makes London Stadium unique, like. Yeah, you mentioned the crown on the outside. Like, it's a world-class stadium. It's a world-class athletic stadium. It is. It was built for the Summer Olympics. It is a world-class stadium. It's not built for soccer. It wasn't built for soccer. But there is the potential to make it a soccer stadium now. Right now, it's an athletic stadium that soccer is played in. There is potential to make it a soccer stadium that athletics is played in. And that's what it
costs money. I mean, whatever.
The big hang-up has to be the ownership of it, though, right? Once West Ham get their hands on actually owning it, I mean, they're going through naming rights now. I feel like I'm cherry-picking off of the West Ham Way podcast, but they're going through the naming rights now. They have to be like nickel and diming the ownership group to death on this thing, and it's hemorrhaging money for them. It's an inevitability that it'll be West Ham's stadium, I think, from what I've read. But until then, I don't know how much you can do about that. But there was also talk at the end of last season that they were going to square off behind the net, and sort of cut a bit of distance out there. And then it just disappeared over the summer and nothing happened. But
well, that's what happens. That's the same old West Ham, like just to shut us up, right? To shut the supporters up. So,
exactly.
That was never going to happen this year, though. Like they were talking about it for next season, or maybe at the end of it. But you knew that was not going to happen. But you knew that was not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not an immediate plan, but
it's just great to see. It's just great to when I saw that, I was like, all right, it's possible. Like
the technology's there.
Yeah.
According to our good friend Nick Tucker from Crossed Hammers, crosshammers.com. Also, they do the Batman videos on YouTube. Really, really awesome stuff. Explicit, but really awesome. Nick Tucker said he went to the Red Sox Yankees series at the London Stadium. He said that it makes a fantastic baseball stadium. It does. I mean, he's come over here many times, going to Fenway. He's gone to other stadiums as well, and he said that it was actually it makes a fantastic stadium, and also the fact that they were able to make it a baseball stadium so easily in that short period of time.
Good point.
Is that why can't they make it into a fucking soccer stadium, football stadium in that short of a fucking time? You know what I mean? Is it just because based money that happen, and our ownership won't put the money that go into it? What is it? I don't know, but it was proven that it can be changed like that, man.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah. So we need new owners. I don't want to start that again. Oh God, people be invading pitches and everything.
Well, Tim, do you want to talk about the season, like with Adam and his thoughts so far?
I kind of do, but we, you know what? Yeah, let's do that before we get into it. We'll do that, and then we'll go into some West Ham news topics, and then we'll go into the Hammers polls, and then we'll do the rapid fire because we still got about 20 minutes left. So I'll give you 90 seconds to give me your season review so far. Okay. Just kidding. You gotta go. Take your time.
Hey, I recorded a podcast on this. I have a dry run already done.
You can dub it if you want.
We get just run this at 2x speed. We get dealt the shit hand to start the season, as is tradition. Stumble out of the gate. Brighton match sucked, but we got a point out of it. Thank you, Chicharito. A swan song for him. And then that was basically okay, we did it. We scored. We got a point. And it was the momentum swing we needed, even though it was not an impressive match for West Ham, I don't think. Other than that, what's really been exciting is the attack. Obviously, that's a pretty shallow comment, but they're holding the ball, they're holding possession, and before we'd seen, we hold on to it, we walk it down the wing, and then Cresswell rips it across to try and find Andy Carroll, and if he does, great. If he doesn't, possession's turned over. Our entire team's committed forward for whatever reason, and we're getting run over in the back. Now it's that, it's the Pellegrini style football where you're holding onto the ball, you're passing it around, and you're not forcing something through. You're lulling people in. The quick little triangle passes between Lanzini, Felipe Anderson, Masuaku, you love to see that because it's new football, but it's also not just them trying to literally fling the ball in and hope something good happens. You feel like the team's threatening from all over the pitch. We talked about VAR on the Hammers poll video and if it's improving the game or not. And my point was basically, if we judge West Ham based on their first month of last season, the whole season would have been a write-off and it would have been crap. Let's give VAR some more time. The same thing goes for West Ham this season. There's been good, there's been bad, but it's only a month in so far. I know the international break has us talking about whatever we can, but there's lots of room for improvement, certainly in the defense, but a lot of positives to take from this, I think.
Well done, my man.
Am I over? What was the time?
No, shit. It sounded like you're over. You finished, or you want to keep going?
All done. I'm done.
Okay. No, we got Mike Dean again on Monday. You remember what happened last time with Mike Dean? We played Manchester City. Remember that shit show with Mr. Mike Dean?
I'm just prepared for more VAR calls to go wrong and awry after that.
No, aside from that, listen, there's been a lot of people. I would like to think that, I'm assuming Justin would agree with me, and I'm assuming you'd agree with me most likely, that we're improving every game as well, right? It looks like we're improving every game. Looks like our players are gelling every game, a lot of the people on Twitter, my favorite place on this planet, where all the negativity comes from, are saying that, well, it's because the teams are getting shittier. You go from Man City to Brighton to Watford to Norwich City, and obviously you should be getting better, right? I don't buy that. I think our team is actually just getting better. What do you think, Adam? I'll give it to Justin.
Do you want to jump in first, though, Justin?
Yeah, I'll start it off. I disagree with that. I think we're getting better because we're playing better. You play the teams on the schedule. And what if we weren't getting better? Then they would be negative about the fact that we aren't getting better because these teams are shit. It's just, Twitter. I really try to limit myself on Twitter, man, because there's some cool people on there, but there's just some trolls as well. It's the simple fact: you play the teams that are placed in front of you. You play to your best ability. Yes, Norwich is not as good. I feel like Norwich is a little better than Brighton. That's my opinion. But anyways, my point is, you play the teams on the schedule. I think we're getting better because we're getting better. Yes, it helps that we're playing Norwich. Yes, it helps that we're playing Watford. Two relegation contenders. But again, you play the teams that are in front of you.
Well, I guess Monday night would be the test, right? When we play Villa. That's another supposed. But anyway, Adam, give me your opinion.
Yeah, I can't disagree with what you said there, Justin. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, if we all, and presumably by these people who hate the team but still talk about it all the time, we're all West Ham fans, judging by our Twitter names. So we need to beat the bad teams. We need to beat the good teams. But there's going to be a little bit more challenge. But I don't understand how it can be a negative when you're beating teams. It's silly. Like I said, the Brighton match wasn't necessarily a strong performance from us. But if you can still get a point away from a team that's had your number since they've been promoted, to me, on a personal level, that's a strong takeaway. We didn't play strong. We didn't play well. We didn't have Mark Noble. We didn't have Sebastian Haller, who are two of our most important players now. So, let's take positives from this, and as well break it down to individual player performances. Look at how well Ogbonna and Diop played in the match against Norwich City, against one of the best scorers this season in Teemu Pukki, who scored in every other match and has scored for Finland. Why is there no credit being given to West Ham's defenders, right? How come Masuaku's the best left back in Europe so far based on power rankings, and no one wants to talk about that being a positive? So people are just cherry picking because being contrarian gets you love, right?
On Twitter, in Twitterland, these fucking people. Anyway, I'm listening. We have a good, solid core of people who work and volunteer with American Hammers TV, and we have a little, group chat going on. And I'm trying to find someone to take Twitter away from me, so I don't have to look at it anymore, because I just can't handle it. It's so negative. I say it every single episode. Anyway, what else we got going on? Let's move into the news items. I'm going to do a little screen share here, I guess. We're just going to basically take a look at what's up here, and if you want to comment on it, jump in, and then we'll all comment on that particular topic. How about this one? Did you guys see anything, maybe even just some news items or posts about the under-23s today?
I heard that it was an 8-minute goal from Nathan Holland, and then pretty much I don't know if it was boring or not, but no real items of note after that. But I've been writing pieces titled, guess what? Nathan Holland's destroying the under-23s again. Oh, guess what? Nathan Holland's scoring awesome goals for the under-23s again. I think if Pellegrini has not made many missteps as manager of West Ham, I think a big one, and obviously hindsight's 2020, playing Mikel Antonio on a short rest instead of Nathan Holland in the Newport match was one of his mistakes, I think. This kid's knocking on the door, and look at what happened with Quinn. I know he's got a bad agent who's in his ear, but talent can only be suppressed for so long, right? These kids got to believe in themselves, and I don't want Holland to get to that level, and I know he's, from what I've heard, not a hothead, but let's give this kid a look, right?
He's getting so much hype. It could happen if he continues to stay on under 23s, gaining all that hype. Without the actual, the top players and professionals around him to kind of keep his head down. because if you look at all of his Instagram posts or his Twitter feed, I mean, there's so many people, all his friends or people who follow him, like throwing goat emojis at him all the time, like daily, like anything that he posts, which actually is kind of true, man. He's nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, he's something special. He really is. I still don't understand why he's not been given the chance yet, especially last season. Like, there was many opportunity to bring him in. It didn't happen. Now that Antonio's hurt, why can't he be the guy behind Yarmolenko while Antonio's out? What's up with that? But anyway, Justin, anything on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a proponent of Holland as well. I think he's been one of our besides Ben Johnson, Holland's been the guy that I've been most keen on seeing the first team. So I mean, I echo what you guys say. I don't really have much to add. I agree.
What on earth is this? So I missed the most recent episode of the West Ham Way. I'm pretty sure. Well, I know Adam listened to it. Justin, did you listen to it at all?
No, I did not.
Okay, so Adam, can you give us any insight on what this supposed big announcement before Christmas will be?
I think it's just naming the Olympic Stadium something different.
Something different, yeah.
I think they were laughing because there was like an Egyptian truck company or an African trucking company that was vying for it, but Vodafone was one of them. Heineken was one of them in the past they were talking about. I hope it's something.
Coca-Cola was mentioned a couple of years ago. I think it was the end of the first year at the new stadium. They threw out Coca-Cola's name, but it ended up not happening, obviously. It would be nice to have something like that.
What about Doc Martens? I'd love to see that logo back up.
Hell yeah. Oh, man. All right, I guess that's it. So now I don't have to listen to the episode, but no, I will. I'll definitely listen to them. I love Dave and X. I really do. We've had them both on the show. They're really great guys. Wow, this international break sucks. It's not much to talk about.
That 15-year-old defender, I think he got called up because of a late injury to the under-23s match.
Yeah, that's true.
And he looks like he's 7 years old in that picture there, which is shocking.
That's true.
That
Dimitri Halajiko. I don't know.
Oh, that's the manager, anyways. I forget his name, but I guess with the defender who went on loan this year.
Come on, just accept the damn cookies. All right. Jamal Baptiste. It's easy enough.
He does.
There's certainly lots of options there. Some kid I've that caught my eye. I'm sorry, I'm trying to shoehorn news in here. Like you said, it's a little thin. We hear about Joe Powell. We hear about Connor Coventry in the midfield. We hear about Dan Kemp.
Yeah.
A kid that kind of gets glossed over a lot. He's in every starting lineup for the under-23s. Alfie Lewis is his name. I think he's in his late teens now. He played in that Dagenham Redbridge charity match for West Ham. And it was him and Ben Johnson for me were like levels above the competition around them. He could be someone to keep an eye out for. I think you may see him go on loan to like a League Two side or something, but he really holds the ball well, and I think he's got a future. I'd love to get your guys' opinion on Josh Cullen, man of the match for Ireland's senior team. I'm of the opinion that I don't think he has any future left at West Ham, just based on age and the aspirations of West Ham versus his max skill level probably not being at the same level there. But it's tough moving on from one of your own, right?
Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying, Adam. The age for sure, I think, is one thing where you're like, if he hasn't really gotten his chance, he hasn't really gotten his chance by now, will he? Is he back on loan at Charlton?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. I know he had a really good year there last year. I haven't been following him this year, but seems like he's really loving it there. Seems like he could be a championship player. There's plenty of those that guys that make a good living. So nothing to sneeze at, but specifically to West Ham, it's obvious that Pellegrini doesn't rate him enough to get in the squad. And I'm sort of thinking along the lines that you're thinking, Adam, in that. Yeah, May. And his contract is up at the end of the year, isn't it? Or only 1 year to go, something like that.
I think we may see the old recall and sell in January to make a couple £100,000 on him to basically secure him to Charlton or wherever he goes. But I think he's at the end of the rope there.
They love him there. They love him there. Lee Boyer loves him there. I mean, he helped them get promoted from League One, and they're doing all right.
Yeah, they're doing very well. They're doing very well this year.
I just wish that they would have kept him. I understand that, he was in League One last year, and even the year before that, and the year before that, with Bolton and everybody else. But the deal is that I could see him, even watching highlights of him. I could see him being Mark Noble's replacement when he retires, but it's just at the age now and the lack of Premier League football. I don't see it happening. I see by that time. I don't know. I think he'll stay with Charlton. He'll end up signing with them. It sucks because he is a really, really good talent. But what's going to end up happening is we're going to replace Noble with somebody from some other league. Which could be better for us, I guess. I don't know. We'll never know. We'll see. But let's get into we got a couple minutes left. Let's get into maybe 2 hammers polls, and then we'll do our rapid fire. So first one is we'll start with Justin this time. Do you like the name London Stadium, or should it be changed under any new naming rights deal that the club seek?
I like the name. I mean, you know me. I'm the guy that doesn't answer the question straight away. I like the name London Stadium. I think if I had to lean towards one answer or the other, I'd say keep it. I like the old school stadiums that sort of don't have like a sponsor, one of those corporate sponsors. I'm a big, even though Wrigley technically is a company, Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, Old Trafford, things like that. I respect those names, and while London Stadium isn't as
Historic,
historic, I think it could be over time if we kept it. Now, I don't think we will keep it, so I think the real question should be, what name should it be? Like, I think there are definitely some names that wouldn't really mesh well, and some that maybe could. So.
Adam?
Yeah, I agree with you about the traditional names. Like I'm from Toronto. I'm a huge Toronto Maple Leaf fan, and right now they're playing in the Scotiabank Arena, which sucks. But they used to play in the Maple Leaf Gardens, which is an awesome sounding name, right? And in the middle, you had the Air Canada Centre, ACC for short, was kind of nice. Same with the Blue Jays. They're now in the Rogers.
Skydome, and now it's Rogers, or it was Rogers.
Yeah. So the Sky Dome was awesome. Everyone knew the Sky Dome. It was the building like this, and you could see the sky, and as a dome, it made sense. But I'm wondering if the only hope we have of them keeping London Stadium, which I like because it's here. If it was, I don't even know, like the Vodafone Football Dome, maybe that's all right because it rhymes. But I wonder if how much traffic they get from someone Googling, like, oh, we're going to London. Like, is there a stadium in London? They type in London Stadium and hit enter, and they're like, oh, the London Stadium. Like, how did I not think of that? But
that's confusing, though. I mean, I'm all confused then. I mean, I thought it was like London Olympic Stadium of Queen Elizabeth Park.com something or other. What the fuck? Hashtag something. What is it? So it's just London Stadium now? It's not Olympic Stadium. It's not Queen Elizabeth Park. It's not.
I think isn't like London Stadium at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic ground,
bowling ground at Upton Park or whatever. Yeah, I guess that might be it. So I would vote for change the fucking name because I'm all confused. As long as it's not MahmoudAbdulRaouf.com, truckers, what's his name? Hakeem Olajuwon? I don't know. Let's see. Let's get into these. No, let's do one more. Forget it. Let's do one more. Let's. If you could sing only one, which version of Bubbles would it be? keep it simple. The original version or the Chitty Chitty Bubbles that I don't know if you guys got to see this. Go back and watch the show from last night. It was fantastic. They, I think it was Wayne and Adam from West Ham is Why We Drink. They did both versions actually on the show last night. I kind of like the Chitty Chitty Bubbles. It's kind of different. But what do you guys think? Let's start with Adam.
I mean, I'm the history guy. I'm going with the original. I'm not changing it up. I'm not going for the remix. Yeah, I don't know. I like the original. I'll stick with that one. I don't have too much to say in it, but I vote original.
Original? Justin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was another question in there somewhere, but based off of that, they were talking about here we go. Here it is. Yeah, so during the West Ham is Why We Drink podcast, the lads discussed the club's famous I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles song. The words have slightly changed over the years on the terraces. What do you believe the words to be? They reach the sky or nearly reach the sky? Justin.
So the question is, what is the correct lyric?
What do you believe the words to be? I mean, if you were gonna go to the match on Monday and you were with the West Ham supporters and you were gonna sing, what version would you say?
I've done it both ways before, but I think it's nearly reached the sky. Pretty sure.
Adam?
Yeah, I say nearly reach the sky as well. But it's like all, unless you know the words that people are singing. It's like every stadium chant, right? It's just kind of muffled. You hear the noise of it a little bit there, and then you get a fan video of it, and you're like, oh, okay, now I actually know what they're saying. But from watching across the great internet, sometimes it's a little bit too muffled to make it out.
Yep, I would say nearly as well. That's what I usually say when I do it. Okay, it's rapid fire time, man. Let's get cracking. We got 11, not 10, 11 rapid fire questions for you. Feel free to elaborate if you choose, but you don't have to. You just say one word. This is all good.
I'm ready.
Meat pie or apple pie?
Apple pie.
Good one. Who is your favorite current West Ham player?
Favorite current West Ham player, I would say, is Mark Noble.
Good one. Good one. That actually comes up a lot more than I would assume. It's crazy. We've heard a lot of different players, but and now that we have Allaire, I'm going to start hearing that a lot more too now.
Oh yeah,
I guarantee it. Who frustrates you the most in the current West Ham squad?
Maybe this is cherry picking a little bit too much from recency bias, but Yarmolenko, I feel, does nothing, and then does something amazing. So I know that's going to be a frustrating relationship between me and him, but I have faith that we'll get through it.
That's Antonio. You just described Antonio.
That's fair too. That's at least his shots.
Which is the number one answer, by the way. The number one answer. We asked this to everybody, and it's usually Antonio or Fredericks. But Yarmolenko, that's the first time I've heard
an
that.
injured guy. I feel bad. I'm not going to kick a dead horse here.
Oh, that's fine. I'm glad. You changed it up on us. We weren't expecting that. So good one. FA Cup or top 4 finish? And by top, before you say anything, a lot of people don't understand. By top 4 finish doesn't mean finish top 4. I mean, like, it doesn't mean finish 4th place. It could mean like within the top 4. Yes.
I say FA Cup. We lift the trophy, and then next season we build on that and we take the league. It's a plan. It's a progression.
Definitely. You know, the physical hardware is what's most enticing, because you could potentially qualify. Anyway, what about West Ham do you love?
I like the kits. They always seem to be good. I like the colors. They're appeasing to the eyes. I like literally every single person I've met face-to-face or over the internet does with West Ham. I like that we're not one of the most popular, trendy teams in the world. I like the history of the team. I like the culture around the players like Mark Noble or Declan Rice on the back here who play the right way, we'll call it. And I like the chip on the shoulder that everyone on the team and associated with the team seems to have. A little bit of an underdog story.
What about West Ham do you hate?
Oh, I'll go rapid fire this one and just say the inconsistencies.
That's usually the answer, my man. It's so usually the number one answer for what do you love about West Ham is usually the supporters or the family, and that also is the number one answer for what do you hate, because it's very frustrating that for many reasons. But anyway, what sound makes you happy? And this could be anything. Like this is just a throw you off question. What sound makes you happy?
Well, mission accomplished. What sound makes me happy? It's a weird one. When the kettle goes off, because then I know my coffee is 3.5 minutes away after that. So
right on, man. Cool. What's your favorite curse word?
Is this a rated M for mature show here?
It is to a lot of people tend to say starts with C, ends in T, but you can say fuck.
The versatility of fuck is just, it really opens the door to a lot of situations. So I'll go with that one. All right.
That's the number one answer as well. What team do you love to beat?
I live with a Manchester United fan. So anytime a bad one gets past De Gea,
that's my answer as well, man.
Music to my ears.
Yep. That's I think that's the second most popular answer. Number one is the obvious. It would be Spuds.
Yeah.
Say their name.
Crystal Palace and forever, they'd like to get loud on Twitter. Although Newcastle fans with the Sean Longstaff stuff, oh my gosh.
That was ridiculous. But for the most part, every Newcastle supporter I've ever met isn't a dick.
No, I'm the same.
To other clubs, you know what I mean?
Same way.
Yeah. But on Twitter, everybody's a dick. So me included, I could be a real dick.
Oh yeah.
I got you. These fucking Twitter people. Anyway, name a player, past or present, that epitomizes West Ham. To you, I guess.
To me, I'm gonna go with Andy Carroll. I mean, the man is a walking injury. Well, every year West Ham is going to have the best season of all time, and then injuries pile up and take him away. I think he would, much like West Ham, like the banter on him apparently is great. I'd love to sit down and have a beer with him, but I'm gonna stop it at a beer. Nothing crazy, Andy. I think he's the perfect injury man. You know, that's what West Ham's been.
You had me for a second, dude. You said Andy Carroll, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is he thinking? And then you said injuries, and I'm like, oh, yes, that's what the West Ham. Yeah.
What's the most popular answer here then?
We have a lot of old timers, I guess, or people that remember, Trevor Brooking, Billy Bonds. But nowadays, like our generation, I guess you'd say it would be Mark Noble. I've even heard Scott Parker. Even the brief time that he was here, he epitomizes the fight and the passion from, the hardworking, iron. Just almost ripped my headphones off my ear.
What about Adrian? You beg for more time, more attention, and then when you get it, you muff the ball or the play, and then West Ham.
That's a good one, man. I've not heard that yet. I don't think we've heard Fabs yet either, man. Because everybody who watches the show knows that would just start an argument. So that or Fredericks, I'll fucking slap you. But anyway, most frustrated with him. But anyway, my favorite question here is our final question. If you could take a time machine back to experience anything to do with West Ham, when and where would it be?
It's certainly West Ham.
Experience it.
It's certainly West Ham adjacent, but it would be the World Cup, I think. I took the stadium tour and I saw, the gold outline with the trophies on it and everything. And the tour guide I'm sure all of them say the same line. The only trophy that's missing is the World Cup because West Ham won it for England. And again, it's an adopted culture over here of football and soccer and whatnot. And there's a family that's close to our family. He's a Brentford fan. But he said, me and much like a lot of my compatriots were West Ham fans at one point in time because of England in the World Cup. So to go back and see the history of that, to see Bobby Moore, that'd be cool. That's where I'd be.
That actually has come up a few times, but the number one answer is usually the 1980 FA Cup. We've heard everything from the White Horse final, the White Horse match, whatever it was. We've also heard the Intertoto Cup, or whatever, the 1960 something or other European Cups. Cup, I don't know what the fuck it's called. Yeah, that one. But yeah, no, I love. I'm surprised we don't hear the World Cup more often. So, but that's cool, awesome. Well, listen, Adam, thank you so much for coming on tonight, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Justin, you got anything to plug before you before we end here?
No. The only thing is, if you watch this in Denver, I'm going to be in Denver from like Friday or tomorrow to Monday. I'm going to try to go there and do some fan reactions. I have to work, so we'll see how that works out. But if I can step away for a couple hours, I'll be there.
With the Mile High Hammers?
Yeah, I mean,
dude, hell yeah, that's a great group.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, if we can get away from work, I will. But and then just keep your eye out for more opposition match previews. I'm going to be trying to do that before every game, and fan reactions as well throughout the season.
Awesome, man. Thanks. So, Adam, you got anything else you want to plug?
It's mostly Green Street Hammers for me. At Green Street Hammers on Twitter is where you'll find everything that we do, blasted out, tweeted out. We're on everything that does podcasts as well. We'd love feedback, any ratings, whatever comments. Appreciate it, John. Anything at all that we do is going to be on there. Myself, I'm also on Stairway to Seven, so give that a listen to. It's actually good for a little bit of context around the Premier League outside of the teams that take up 90% of the oxygen on the media. So other than that, my handle is at Adam Smith with 3 I's because I have the most placeholder name of all time. So it's hard to be creative with that. But guys, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it again.
No problem.
Thanks.
I'll be editing the American Hammers radio podcast, which will go out late this evening, so you can listen to it on your way to work tomorrow, people. It'll be on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play Music, because iTunes can go fuck themselves. It's so frustrating me. But anyway, what else we got going on? Oh yeah, so but that American Hammers Radio, that's with Kyle from Fresno Irons and Zach from Maryland. We had them both on the show. We actually interviewed them on Monday night just to help promote their podcast. Trying to work out a couple special things for the weekend, and Monday night we'll do another interview. And we're just gonna keep on doing shows. We got 2 more like actual YouTube shows in the works. And what else we got going on? Please, go to our website, AmericanHammersTV.us, buy a scarf. There's also links to our T-shirts there. Our T-shirts are fucking awesome, dude. They're like premium quality too. They're not just, the logo looks nice on it, but it feels like shit and it leaves purple stains on me or whatever. It's like, no, this is premium stuff. So go buy it. What else? There's one last thing I want to say about that. So we got the podcast, we got that. Yeah, man, just keep on watching our show, and also check out Green Street Hammers. Justin, Casey said that they just put out another podcast. Is that true?
Yeah, I've been MIA the last 2 weeks, but he's trying to do that every week. So yeah, the OTL on the line, off the line, football podcast. Me and Casey from the Chicago Hammers do that, and then random other Chicago guys as well. Just talk about just soccer.
It's really good. No, it's really good though. So everybody check it out. I do remember what I want to talk about. September 28th. I haven't mentioned it in a couple weeks now, but September 28th, I will be hanging out at Fido's with the DC Irons. So you guys want to come visit me? I'll be down there with Mr. Max, who's asleep now because he got school tomorrow. Me and Max will hang out with the Irons in DC. So let's. I think that's Bournemouth. I think it's a Bournemouth match.
Yeah, it's Bournemouth.
Yeah. Fuck that. I hate them. You should go back to non-league football with their little dinky stadium. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys off the air real quick, but come on, you Irons, for everybody else.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.